Employee protection. The first section I'm going to cover is employee health insurance policies. There are four main types of insurance policies to be aware of as an employer. The first is a traditional indemnity policy or a fee-for-service. The employee chooses their medical care provider, and the insurance company pays directly or reimburses the employees for covered costs. The second is a managed care plan. The two most common forms of health are health maintenance organization and preferred provider organization. An HMO is essentially a prepaid plan, while a PPO is where the insurance company arranges discounts with their preferred providers. When you are self-insured, you absorb all or a significant portion of the risk, and you pay your claims. You can, however, limit the amount that you pay. If you come into a situation where you don't have enough money to cover the cost of, say, like a surgery, the insurance company can step in and pay for it if it happens to be a covered cost. A health savings account is for an employee with a high deductible insurance plan. The employee makes pre-tax contributions to cover their healthcare costs. This kind of savings account is only for healthcare costs and can't be used for whatever they want. An employer can also make contributions. Their contributions are tax deductible. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina is an insurance provider that does provide business plans, and they have a lot of information on their website that can help a business owner choose what plan they like. So we'll look at a couple of screenshots from their website. This screen is one that you'll see when you're starting out. It gives you a little bit of information about what comes with a Blue Cross and Blue Shield health plan, such as 100% preventative care, health and wellness programs like a free 24/7 nurse health support line, online tools. It is voted one of the most ethical companies in the world, and also it is fully compatible with the Affordable Health Care Act. Now what you're going to want to do is choose how many employees your business has. I did 5 to 50 because my parents' company has 20 employees. And it'll give you things to think about. You need to think about the plan type and the network, multiple options to give your employees. You need to think about if you want to include dental plans, if you want to include additional health and wellness plans, and if you're meeting the Affordable Health Care Act requirements. And this is a little snippet of information. This gives you some information for the multiple options. They have high-low plans that you can check out. You can set a fixed dollar amount or a fixed percentage for the low or core option. Some employees want higher options, which you can also provide to them, and your cost would stay the same. It also talks about HRAs, which gives you more control of the healthcare budget with a fund-based plan. It also gives you information about dental plans, if this is something you would like to provide for your employees. COBRA. COBRA is not a snake. COBRA is Consolidated Omnibus Budgeted Reconciliation Act. COBRA essentially continues healthcare coverage for an ex-employee and their dependents for 18 months. So an example of this is when I worked for Lowe's Home Improvement, they paid half of my insurance cost and I paid half of my insurance cost. When I left, they gave me the option to have my healthcare continued. However, Lowe's would not pay anymore. COBRA would help pay for the insurance, and I could continue that on if I wanted. Companies must offer this if they have more than 20 employees, but state laws vary, so as a business owner, this is something you'll need to check out. Workers' compensation. All businesses that have 3 or more employees must have workers' compensation insurance. Self-proprietors, members of an LLC, and partners do not automatically count as employees, but they can be included. Independent contractors. You need to check on your independent contractors, because although you may file them as an independent contractor on your taxes, if there is a claim where one of them gets hurt or otherwise, the Industrial Commission can check on it and rule otherwise, which means as the business owner, you will face fees. There are some pretty harsh penalties for not carrying workers' compensation insurance. You can be faced with stiff financial penalties. You can be charged with a misdemeanor or a felony, or you could even go to jail. Workers' compensation is definitely important. And if the penalties don't tell you that it's important, let me tell you a little story. In my parents' business, they have a manufacturing plant that has lots and lots of saws. They've not had any accidents in the 40-some years they've been in operation. However, this summer, one of the guys that works there cut off one of his fingers and mangled a couple of others. He was rushed from our location to a hospital about an hour away in an ambulance. He had to undergo about a 6-hour surgery, I believe, by a specialist. He's not going to be able to return to work all summer. However, because we carry workers' compensation, all of that has been paid for by that plan. His next medical cost will be paid for, his physical therapy, and he also receives benefits. So he gets a little bit of a paycheck, even though he's not there working for us. It's very important to have. You don't want your employees to have to be stuck with the burden of an injury when it happens on your property and at your business. Even though this is expensive, it is definitely worth it in the end. Key person insurance. Entrepreneur Magazine defines key person insurance as life insurance on a key employee, partner, or proprietor on whom the continued successful operation of a business depends. The business is the beneficiary under the policy. So for the example of my parents' company, we would probably put key person insurance on my dad. My dad's the one who started the business. He's the one who knows how to set up and run all of the machines. He knows how to make everything. And if he were to die prematurely or unexpectedly, there would be a large cost and potential loss of profit that would come with that. We would have to train somebody else. We would have to slow down operation. We would have to find somebody who could help us with the machines. It would be a very big ordeal. And if we have a policy like this on him, upon his death, that would be cashed out, and we would have the funds to continue operation and get back up and running again without his help. Nationwide Insurance is a insurance provider who does provide this kind of key person insurance. They also, on their website, I saw an option where you can have more or less benefits depending on your company's creditworthiness, which I thought was an interesting point. This is definitely something that a small business would need, especially if there is just one or two people who know how to run the business and somebody else has not been put in line and trained with enough experience to continue on in their absence. And lastly, here are some of my links and resources. I've included an extra Blue Cross and Blue Shield link for the healthcare reform. There's a lot of good information there. Also, AFLAC. They provide supplemental insurance like accident, injury, disability. Definitely something to look into as an employer. For workers' compensation, I included the Industrial Commission of North Carolina's website. They've got a lot of great information, a lot of forms that you'll need. I use this website weekly. Lastly, for key person, I included the Entrepreneur Magazine article in the Nationwide. Thank you for listening.